Hey there. Today I thought I would take you on a stroll with me down memory lane. Does anyone remember the Good Humor Man? I would hear the jingle of the truck from I don't know how many blocks away. Sometimes you just have that sharp hearing, right? Even though you don't hear when your mom tells you something, but you have that kind of sharp hearing. Well, that was me. I could hear the jingle. It kind of sounded a little bit like, or maybe it reminded me of like going on a carousel, a merry-go-round. Anyway, I would hear it coming and I would be so excited. I'd see all the kids stop whatever they were doing, run out of their house or, from their front lawn or wherever, and we would just flock around this truck. And it just the anticipation of what you were going to order was also exciting. There was a display of every single ice cream you could think of on that truck. They were so colorful. It's like a red, white, and blue rocket pop. There were like chocolate coated ice cream bars. There were these Italian ices in these yellow cups. There were strawberry shortcake. There was everything you could imagine. And I was so excited. And we would just, wait in line. And then we would, once we ordered and got our ice cream, then we would just kind of stand around or go back on the sidewalk where it was safer. And then we would just eat our ice cream under the hot sun where we would try to eat it before it melted. It was just so much fun. That's such a good memory for me because, a lot of times we didn't have, when we were growing up, we didn't have much. So that was something to run to. I don't know if that makes sense. Something to run to because most of the time we hung around the house because we would play outside with the neighborhood kids or just make up our own games, just me and my siblings. One thing that kind of took us away from our home was when on weekends my parents would say, okay, we're going to our friend's house. And usually it would be like an hour and a half or 2 hour drive just one way. But we would be so excited and we would say, do they have kids? Are there going to be any kids? How old are they? Because we wanted to know if we could relate to them, if they could relate to us, and we could make up games. And it was just so much fun to hang out with them all day. Usually it was outside, we would play tag. The simplest of games, Red Rover, dodgeball, things that, I think a lot of kids these days might think, what is that? Or I only know that game on my smartphone or on my tablet. Like, what? You play that in person? So, anyway, I digress. So, I think that that was something that was really special because there were even like these teeny tiny little kiddie pools that they would have. And while some of us were too big to be in these kiddie pools, we still had fun. We would just dip our toes in there and we'd all just hang out and have fun. We'd like laugh and we'd talk about things. We'd talk about funny things. We'd joke. And here's the thing, the memory of the whole experience of being together, it doesn't compare to the experiences of today. And that's not a put down in any way. It's just a very different life. Whereas the kids these days might put LOL on their text and then the other person would know that they're laughing. Whereas with us, we didn't have to type anything or write anything. We could see that everybody was just cracking up and we were all having so much fun poking at each other, cracking up, right? It's just very different experience. And also the smells, like the smell of summer, the smell of grass. Because I remember waking up, especially in the summers, every morning I would wake up and I would just, hear the birds singing. Sometimes a bee would be buzzing, flying by the window. And then I would also smell the fresh cut mowed grass because it was always like a little moist, like there's moisture in the air from either, that earlier that morning from maybe the grass being cut the day before. And it was always just the whole experience of it. So when I think back on these times of these moments that stayed in my mind, it's a whole experience. It's not just the visual of it. It's the smell, it's the feeling, it's the surrounding. So that to me is a big takeaway. And I always think that I always feel I'm very fortunate that I've had those kinds of experiences, because I don't, if I'd never had those experiences, I certainly wouldn't know how it feels to be that interactive growing up with very few paraphernalia, toys, games, props, where we just had to make up our own stuff. And that was really fun. And also, you know, the car rides, going to our friends' houses and back, those are all family times. People talk about, oh, they try to make it a point in today's world that everyone gathers around the table at dinner time just to make sure that you have some time together. And to me, that's kind of sad, because when I see pictures or photos of that happening, most of the time the kids are still on their phones, or the or maybe one of the parents is still connected to their work or something, and it's just a whole different lifestyle, whole different life. And the tech world is definitely something very, very, good in so many ways, but I just wonder how much kids are missing from these real life, real in-person interactions with each other. So I wanted to share that, because I think of all the things that were so simple back then, and that we had so much fun, and that stay on our minds, and yet they may not sound like anything to anybody today. Like, for instance, the water sprinklers. I remember that they were such a thing. Like, we would just jump over the sprinkler. We'd be in our bathing suits. It's summer. It's hot in New York, and you just want to, do something fun, and you just hop over the sprinkler. And we were just laughing and giddy and having fun, just jumping over the sprinkler. It's so funny, isn't it? Um, we just did what we had with what we had, right? And if I could tell myself back then what I know today, I would really say, be more in the moment, appreciate those times. Because maybe if I live to be 120, and let's say I'm 120 today, and I say, what would I tell myself back then when I was recording this video, for instance? And I would probably say the same thing. Be more in the present, be in the present. Because I think we don't do that enough in our life. And I remember an example of that would be, times where I felt like I was really just stressed about a lot of things. And then I would realize that if I just took a moment, just a quiet moment, it would make a difference. Because if you think of the things that you do have and you are grateful for it, then it changes your emotions, it changes things, even during the most stressful times. And having that break, even if you have to return to the stress or the challenge, you still have those moments that you insert. And those are actually more helpful than you think, because what you do is you give your body and your mind a break, and you remember the good things. You remember the good things. So I hope that this stroll down memory lane helps to, conjure up some memories that you have of good times in your life. And those are very precious, and those make up for, you know, the things that may not have gone that well. And maybe not make up, maybe that's not the word, but a lot of times when you think of the good times, that's what lifts you up. When you think of the hard times, it brings you down. So while that may be obvious to a lot of people, it's hard to do, right? It's hard to insert those moments. So if you insert more of these moments in the now, instead of what happened back then, what could happen, what should happen, what might have happened if I had only done this, there's no use, it's no use doing that. That just keeps you on that low vibration, right? So keep up your vibration, and enjoy whatever it is that is happening that's good in your life, and that has happened in your life, because there's so much good in it. There's so much good that we tend to forget, because we always remember the bad, right? Those stick out more. But if you think of the good, it just really helps you to live your life be more present, and just feel more full, feel more full. Feeling content is underrated. Contentment is feeling peaceful, is being at peace with yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have a great day.